Daily workout routine, roll the intro, let's do it. Don't know what I should be looking at, honestly. Like, do I look there or do I look there? Look at the lens. Alright, so let's start off with like the normal disclaimers, which seems to have... Let's talk about all the normal disclaimers that is on every YouTube video regarding such a topic. This is not medical advice. This is not. I'm not giving advice on what you should or shouldn't do. This is just basically my experience, what I am doing, and how I am doing it, and how I feel. Seek out proper professional medical advice. If you have, like 3 legs or something like that, you really need to see like a professional about this. I'm not that person. So one of the main things I feel any program should be, the program needs to be specific to what you're doing, what you want to achieve, your life, all those little factors need to be added in and then considered when you're making a program or when someone's making a program for you. It'd be all good and well if I had infinite time, no other responsibilities, and I could just train, twice a day, every day. And my goal was to be an absolute, strength unit, and I didn't care about anything else. But life's not like that. It doesn't work that way. You have restrictions, you have other things. So I tailor it to what I want. If you're working with a coach, you want to tailor your programming to achieve what you want to achieve. So in my case, I have a few goals that I really want. I spoke about in my previous video, but basically I want to bench 3 wheels, 140 kilos, 315 pounds or 308 pounds, I don't know. It's one of the two. Who gives a shit about pounds, really? And so one of the main goals here I have is absolute strength. Absolute upper body strength. A little bit of background about myself. So I've actually coached CrossFit for 7 years. I'm CrossFit level 2 certified. I've got that cool little piece of paper saying it. More importantly, above all, I've trained under one of the best strength and conditioning coaches in New Zealand, I think. Mark Gordon from MXPT or CrossFit Daedalus, whatever you want to call it. Basically, he was the one who got me into a lot of the strength training, a lot of like the absolute strength training, all that stuff. He got me into CrossFit, he got me into coaching, and he's a big part of who I am. So, big props to him. I'm sure he's going to watch this. So what is that like? So what does this level 2 certification or CrossFit level 2 certificate mean? Or what does it actually, any of these certifications mean? I have some sort of like, semi-formal education. More importantly, I feel me coaching for 7 years under someone who has, way more experience than me, and just learning from him, that is where like the real experience comes from. So for those of you who don't know, Boris Shayko, well, he's a pretty famous Russian strength coach. He's coached a bunch of IPF weightlifters, a bunch of records, 40 gold medals I think it was. He had like a pretty undefeatable team in like the late 90s, early 2000s. Bunch of European powerlifting championships, a whole bunch of stuff like that. More specifically, he does have a whole bunch of programs on the internet. You'll find a million spreadsheets and variations on Google. The one I found is very specific to bench pressing. Well, I believe the essence of Shayko is in it. So some of the things that are really specific to Shayko's training. First of all, you have super long sessions. I'm not used to benching for 45-50 minutes straight with a whole bunch of reps. For those of you who know me, I'm the kind of guy who's like, let's do 3 reps, 2 reps, singles, just go up real heavy and then back off, and that's it, we're done. Working till failure, just something real difficult. Shayko's not like that at all. I don't think I have failed a rep so far. This is kind of like the second time I didn't actually get to finish the last program I did because of COVID. The gyms closed down, so I had to start again. But I don't think I've ever failed a rep on Shayko. You could really consider it to be like a high volume sub-maximal style of training. A lot of reps, you'll see it in a second now. It is very form dependent. You will start seeing with these kind of like pyramid structures that we're doing, where you work up to heavy weight and work back down. On that way back down, if your form sucks or you're struggling on form or it's not there, you are gonna have a hell of a hard time getting those reps. One thing I do really like is, as every week I progress, I just feel that much more technically masterful. I just feel like the weight moves just slightly better, and you're always working on suboptimal weights, so I'm not working till failure. I don't have spotters usually when I'm training, so it's just me. I don't like to put up the spotter arms. This is a standard Shako session here that I've been doing. It looks quite similar to this with some modification to suit me. So as you can see, we kind of start off really light weights, kind of nothing. You don't really worry about it. 50% at a 60 kilo load, 72.5, 85, 95. You basically, for this whole program to work, you kind of jump across. So these are all kind of like technical maxes. It's not actual like true absolute maxes. I just put in technical maxes. Something that I'd be comfortable to do. And then you jump over and it basically fills it in all for you. So let's start off here. So we're at bench press, so it kind of starts off very easy, ramps up the sets, ramps up the volume. Then you get to something like here, right? So you're kind of like at 80%. You're doing 5 sets of triples. Now, 5 sets at your 80%, this gets pretty difficult pretty fast. You kind of at like the second or third set and you're like, holy moly, this is hard work. So you finish that like that 95, or whatever is at 80% at 3x5, and then you hit like some other workout here. So usually here they'd have like squats. I never do the squats here. I don't squat in this section purely because I like to squat on a separate day. That's just me. You could follow this, to the T, but for me, I kind of prefer doing this accessories between here. Then you come back onto here and you hit a whole second wave of benching again. So, 50%, 6%, 70%, and again, 4x5. So if you add up all these sets, you've already done like 16 sets in a session. That's a hell of a lot of sets. That's way more than I'm used to. I'm usually hitting like a warm-up weight, couple of warm-up sets, and then you get into it. You're talking like 7-8 sets max. This is 16 sets, and especially the second half, it's you start feeling like, wow, this is getting exhaustion. You're doing it, you are lifting at like an exhausted state. So afterwards, I do hit some of these. I always hit like incline bench, chest muscles, something. You'd pick up 3 or 4 accessory lifts here. You'd see it now, so you kind of going through. I'd always do some inclines, some chest muscles, something like that. So anytime I do bench, I do like to do a bit of pulling work, some rows, something like that, just for like the shoulders, just so I don't get any badly like internally rotated shoulders. So that's something I do. So for day two of my training is always Jiu Jitsu. It's always some sort of roll, a session with some drilling and a roll. I like to do Jiu Jitsu on separate days. I find it like the best for me. And I do look forward to it. It's always something like nice to break up the training. So I did strength training for about half my life while playing sports the whole time. And then I went into like my early 20s till now. And I didn't really do anything other than just straight strength training. So it was really nice to start adding on something that I can use my strength for. Like I'd go to the gym every day and start lifting heavier weights. And, I started feeling it was a bit pointless. Not that strength is pointless, but I felt like I wanted to use it in something. And, when you have that strength training background in Jiu-Jitsu, it does help a lot, but it does help, it does help in the rolls, does help you get out of some sticky situations. So Jiu-Jitsu is, it's one of like the most humbling experiences in your life when you're getting choked out by a guy who weighs, like a third of your weight. We're now on day 2 of this program now, of the Shako bench. And day 2, it's actually my favorite benching day. Day 1 absolutely throbs you, just fucking kills you. Day 2 is, you go a bit heavier in the weight, which I like, but it is less reps. excluding like this last set, which, you know, not too bad. But in kind of the middle of this pyramid here, you're doing like, you know, higher percentages. So you're kind of like reaching that 85% here. You're working at that range, which I do enjoy. One thing I always struggled with was like that confidence for bench. You know, I was always fearless, you know, weightlifting, Olympic lifting. I was never worried about getting under that bar. Benching, after all like my shoulder injuries and shit, it's always one of those things that I've been, oh man, you know, a bit sketchy on, or, you know, man, I'm a bit worried about getting under this. This really helps with that confidence. You know, you're always going a bit heavier than what you're used to. You're doing a couple of sets. This is feeling a lot nicer, a lot easier now. So yeah, doing that, working at like that plus, you know, that 100 kilo plus range, you know, the first week it was, especially taking like a long time off, not benching, getting straight back into it, you know, by like week 3 or 4 now, which is what I'm at, a lot easier, feeling really good. I'm sure I could do a lot more weight than this now, but just follow the program. That's what everyone does say. You know, you're going to see the results when you go to max out again. You'll just seeing those numbers skyrocket, which I'm sure. So day 4 is typically my favorite day of the week for training, and that is explosiveness, is what I like to call it. Explosiveness. So basically day 4 is mainly some Olympic lift. Recently, currently, and it's going to be like this for a while, I've been doing some clean variations. So the main variation I've been working on, hang cleans. So why hang cleans? Why I'm so into them? So from the ground, I'm generally pretty good. I can move that weight pretty good because I'm a decent puller. But as soon as I get that bar, you know, above my knees and kind of from like a, you know, like from a hang or something like that, I'm way worse. That like kind of second, third pull is my weakest section of my clean. Typically, I've actually just stopped deadlifting altogether. I use a deadlift a lot. I was very much into deadlifting. I got a pretty decent deadlift and I just stopped doing it. I just felt like the risk to reward for me was getting, you know, it didn't seem worth it to me anymore. And you're gonna see that a lot with people who play like different sports. When I was in, you know, kind of like more strict weightlifting and powerlifting, I was deadlifting. But now once you start like layering in Jiu Jitsu and, you know, other things that you want to do in your life, the deadlift just becomes something, it's way too taxing. The benefit I'm getting from doing the deadlift is just not that much anymore. You know that feeling you get when you'd have a big deadlift session, your hamstrings are just shot, your lower back's kind of fried. I can't go into jiu-jitsu the next day feeling like that. I could do some heavy cleans. I can go, you know, relatively heavy for me on cleans, especially hang cleaning. You know, I can still like progress on hang cleaning. I can still be working on that explosiveness that I want. When I'm deadlifting, if I'm going like 90-95% on a deadlift, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to grind that rep. I'm not going to be like, oh, no, I'm not going to pull this. I'm going to sit and grind that. And when I do that grind, you know, you're just rolling that dice. You're rolling that dice like pull a muscle in your back, you know, lock up your QLs, whatever it is. While with hang cleans, you can't do it. You're not fast under that bar. There's no grind in a hang clean. You're catching it or you're failing it. So along with like hang cleans, usually my rep scheme, I usually just do like ascending pyramids and then like back off at like a lower weight. So I'll start off, I'll just keep adding like, you know, 10 kilos, 10 kilos, 10 kilos, 5 kilos, whatever it is. Keep getting heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. Get to like kind of like something where I'm like, shit, this is getting pretty hard or heavy, or like I fail a weight or something like that. I'll back off, do some like, you know, doubles at a lower weight, you know, 4 or 5 sets of that. And then I'll start like a whole bunch of like accessory work. So day 5, we're back to jiu-jitsu again. Session drill roll, you know, and that's the day there. It's usually like an hour session. So day 6 is like a back squat day. And generally what I would be doing, switch to this, is kind of like this squat session here, a little bit extended and a little bit heavier on a separate day. So I can kind of do a few more sets. I will kind of do like the 3 sets, and it wouldn't be like the top set here wouldn't be 3x6. It would be like a 5 reps, 3 sets sort of deal, or like a 5x5 or something like that. One thing about Shaco is everyone does say like the percentages are always a bit tweaky, and I don't think this is like the original program that Boris Shako did, right? It was kind of like adapted. But yeah, everyone does say like the percentages do need a bit of work, to suit if you're not, full-time athlete or something like that. People do struggle with the percentages. Yeah, I think it's because I'm using like a technical Mac rather than like a true Mac, so I'm not struggling as hard. Maybe that's a mistake. I'm gonna finish the cycle anyway on this and retest and re-input some new numbers anyway and see how that goes. So we're at day 7. Now day 7 is a rest day for all intensive purposes. Day 7 is something interesting. So usually day 7 I'm hooping. I'm hooping, baby. We're hooping, we're playing some squash, we're going for a swim, we're doing anything just to, I need to move basically. If you're just sitting there at home chilling, you will feel miserable. I need to go out, I need to go for like a long walk and play some squash, I've been really enjoying that. Playing some basketball, go for a swim. I don't swim laps, I just get in the water, I just fight the waves, whatever it is, just do something stupid. So the next part of this, let's talk about supplementation. Number 1, creatine. So the best research I have seen so far, or like the best discussion that has been done so far on creatine, is by Dr. Andy Galpin. You can find a whole bunch of his videos online. He's been on Barbell Shrugged, a podcast I listen to. Absolutely amazing. So the way Andy Galpin describes creatine prevents depletion of available ATP during exercise. So what does this mean? Imagine you're doing like a 3x5 or you're working on some working weights. Creatine will let you get that last few reps in, that last rep or two, where you would normally fail because this creatine is preventing the depletion of ATP in your body. You're getting that last rep. And you compound that last rep you do on every single workout or, every workout you do over a year, you're getting that's your benefit, that's your gain. For some recovery stuff, BCAAs I take. Also, I kind of take it because I like to drink sweet shit and, they come like the best flavors. I purely buy BCAAs based on flavor. Come at me. For protein powder, do I even take protein powder? I honestly never really do take a whole lot of protein powder, like not that much. I'm not very much into it, generally because I tend to just eat an actual meal. So that takes us to the end of the video. That's kind of like, hopefully that does shed some light on what I do. Again, like I've said throughout this video, this is not like some template for you. This is just what works for me. You need to find what works for you. Consult a doctor for all the supplements and all the stuff that you can do. I don't know your health conditions. You could be like missing legs and shit like that. I don't know. You could have something wrong with you. So you should really talk to some professionals about this. And do something you enjoy doing. That's one thing. That's a big one. Don't look at programs and just hate every second of training. It's too short to be sitting there like hating every minute of training you do, just absolutely dreading it. That's way too short to be doing shit like that. Try to enjoy it. Try to find stuff you enjoy doing, but also don't let that completely control you. You gotta find like a nice balance. Like, don't hate what you do, but also at the same time, like, if you're like, oh, I hate all exercise, I'm just not going to do it. You got to move. Stop being a potato at the same time. Like, no excuses. You have to move. You have to do some shit like that. Just be better. All right. Peace.